Hello, welcome to Lunch for the Soul, everybody. I love seeing you here on Wednesdays. I have an incredible couple of lovely ladies to introduce you today who have had quite an interesting health journey, one with her husband, the other with her sweet dad. And so, without further ado, I bring them in. First of all, full disclosure, my darling friend, Christy Elliott. Hello, Christy.
Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Very good. Sorority sisters from
Yes.
Baylor forever, Sigma Kappa all the way, my friend.
Kappa forever.
Yes. And then I want to bring in her lovely mom, who I have known for decades, Kay. Hello, Kay. Oh, thanks for being here. And I just want everyone to know how this story came about. First of all, so your husband, Kay, your dad, Christy, was treated through some doctors at UT Health and Memorial Hermann. And UT Health really wanted to let us all know about a new clinic they opened, and the man in your life was treated there. And so they sent me the pitch, and I was like, wait a second, I know this man. So I immediately called them and I said, I want to cover this because I know him. And they were like, no way. So it's kind of neat how it all came about. So let's start from the beginning. I want to start with, well, first of all, let's say who we're talking about, okay? So I'm going to bring in some pictures, and so everybody will know the darling man in your life, Don Elliott. A lot of people know him because he owns a car dealership in Wharton. And then also, Christy, you guys opened your own dealership in North Carolina, right? Tell me about that.
Correct. In fact, these pictures are from the grand opening of our new building, which was a little over 9 years ago. So, Melissa, you know my dad. He is very energetic. And so about 17 or 18 years ago, he and my mom had purchased a vacation home near Asheville, North Carolina. And I was up visiting for actually his birthday. And he took me to the airport. And in the time that it took me to fly from Asheville to Houston, and I called and said, I'm home. He's like, great, I bought a dealership, which seems insane for anyone else. But for Don Elliott, that was kind of par for the course. And but you know, he has loved being a part of this community up here as well as in Wharton County. And so it was a new challenge for him, and he's had a lot of fun. And then he let me join his business 5 years after he bought this dealership here. So I've been here for 9 years. And it's a fun, crazy business. But he and I are having some fun together.
Oh my goodness. He is such a great guy, and he is larger than life itself for sure. I mean, Mr. Personality, and I know a lot of people locally know and love him. So let's start with the journey of what happened. So we were talking about what happened about 9 years ago. Let's move it up 4 years ago. Okay, I know he had some colleagues who said something's not quite right. They actually gave you a call and said, I'm seeing something. His symptoms started out so odd. Tell us about that.
Well, he was reading a book on the deck outside, and he said his left arm just involuntarily raised itself, just up, and he thought that was really strange, and he shared that with me, and I said, well, let's watch it, and, it could be just a fluke, it may not be something bad. So anyway, that was the beginning. And then every day, the next day it happened again. And then I think the following day he started getting another little symptom. And it was a shrug.
So it went from a hand just moving involuntarily to a shrug.
To a shrug. And then several days later, maybe 2 days later, it became a facial pull. So at that point, we decided, we thought, neurological for sure.
Yeah, something neurological. And Christy, we're having a little bit of trouble with your audio. So I want to bring you into this to make sure we can hear it. So it all started with just things that didn't make sense, right? Little twitching in the arms, but then he started slurring his words.
That was the final.
Scared, right?
the final the final thing he did before we went to the hospital. And I think, Chris, we talked to Christy many times, and I think the thing that was the scariest to us was that brain tumor maybe was a possibility.
Yeah.
Or some kind of stroke maybe could have been happening. So took him to the hospital. He spent the night. They did lots of tests, and it was not a brain tumor. It was not a stroke. And so they released him the next day and said, watch it. So that's kind of hard to keep from watching, right?
Oh, yeah, that's so hard because then you're going, now what? But then, so the symptoms are happening more and more. So just to cut to the chase, Christy, what did you guys find out through all of this?
So actually, right after he got out of the hospital, they came to North Carolina, and they were here, and his symptoms progressed dramatically over the 2 weeks he was here, probably a week and a half, where, I mean, he was having what we now know was a seizure, but it was this weird shoulder roll thing. He was having them very frequently, and also his foot would just tap, 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 just nonstop on the floor. And then he kind of lost the ability to speak. We coincidentally, we had some vendors in town for a annual financial review with us. And so we were sitting down at the meeting, and he whispered to me, he goes, "You're going to have to handle this because I'm not going to be able to speak in about a minute." And I don't know how he was aware that that was going to happen, but that freaked me out more than I was already. And so we have a really good friend who is a retired general practitioner. So I reached out to him, and I was like, "Look, is there, who's the neurologist in town? He has got to see somebody right now." And he basically said, "The one that I would trust is out of town." And so, disclosure, I worked for Memorial Hermann for 12 years and worked on a campaign for neurosciences. So I knew a lot of those wonderful people. So we pulled all the strings and got him on a plane the next day to go back to Houston. And they were so lovely. They met mom and dad at the ER door, like a doctor and two nurses to admit him. So, I mean, could not have been better. So, and of course, I felt terrible, like putting them on the plane and then crossing my fingers and saying some prayers. And my poor mom had to handle it all the transfer. And I don't know if Mom, if you told Melissa that Atlanta airport story.
No, I don't.
I mean, he was just degrading, but she went to the ladies' room at the Atlanta airport, and he called me while she was not there and told me he didn't think he was going to make it and just wanted to know that he loved me. And so then I'm, of course, just losing it and called Mom. She was like, "No, he's fine."
Yeah. Well, what had happened, he had a fall in the Sky Club. Had a seizure and had a fall. And of course, that freaked all the other passengers out, including Delta personnel. That was the thing that prompted the call to Chris.
So, Melissa, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. My dog was barking. I was trying to spare you from the dog. But Kay, how scary, because you still had another leg of this flight to take, not knowing how he would do in the plane. So how did you all deal with that?
Well, it was incredibly strange because we had to arrange our flight. So we just had to take the seats we could get. And so I put him near the window, and I sat in the middle. But every time he wanted water or coffee. It would go all over it. And so we were mad. We got used to it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's hard to talk about and to relive those memories. And then, Christy, you're doing it from afar. I'm sure you felt so helpless.
I did. It was, mom had survived breast cancer when I was in my 30s, but she caught it so early and everything that I never really worried that she was going to die at that point. So this was the first major health event for my parents where I had no idea what was going on or what, the outcome might be. And so to me, it was looking like it might be a loss.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God.
It was everything was unknown. We had no clue. And then at the hospital, they said, the test will tell us what he has, but they did not have a ready diagnosis.
And then, okay, so I'm going to pop up the diagnosis because I think a lot of people will not have heard of it. You hadn't heard of it before. So here we go. Autoimmune encephalitis. So you hear those. So it took weeks to get this diagnosis for one thing. He was admitted into the hospital for weeks. It was a process. This didn't come overnight. But once you get that diagnosis, what are you thinking? I mean, I'm sure you're like, okay, thank goodness. Like you said, it's not a brain tumor. It wasn't a stroke, but it's this, and now what, right?
Right. Exactly.
Well, and in his specific sub strain of this was so rare that initially the treatment was a lot of trying things to see if it would work. And so they put him on an extreme load of anti-seizure drugs to minimize those, and then worked on the treatment to actually kind of stem the antibodies that were attacking his brain.
So, I mean, thank goodness they found something that worked, because I take a look at your life and you love to travel. So he's been doing these treatments for 4 years and you've still been able to have a fun life. I mean, look at this. It doesn't get any better than that for him.
Yeah, once they dialed in the kind of the treatment and these infusions, he's been doing really well. And then they scaled back his seizure medicine over the last few years. And so is he completely off of that now, Mom?
Completely.
Yeah.
And then he's only doing infusions once a year now, right?
Right. He gets one a week after next. Yeah.
And I see a Longhorn, true and tried and true, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think you're going to have a Longhorn in your family soon, aren't you?
I sure think I think that may happen. Look at this. And so tell me about this beauty.
That's my dog, Chevy. And so Don has now become semi-retired when he comes to North Carolina and doesn't come to the office very much.
So he babysits.
He definitely does.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that picture. That looks fun. I want to be on the beach right now. How about you, lovely ladies? But he still gets some work in. He's a big body. It looks like you have a lot of fun. Where is this? This looks fun.
That's Father's Day last year, and I surprised him. The Temptations and the Four Tops were playing nearby, and so I just told him, be ready at this time. We're going somewhere.
Nice.
And, didn't tell him where or what we're doing. So
I love it. Well, it's so fun to just get a glimpse of the life and see that he's able to live life again and things are going well and they figured it out. Now, one thing that's so interesting about this is this case really prompted doctors with UT Health to take a closer look at this and realize that a lot of seizures could be caused by autoimmune. So they are one of the first in the entire country to open up a clinic just to treat things like this. I mean, that's a big deal, don't you think?
Oh, huge.
Absolutely.
And now you think, how many people have been diagnosed with epilepsy?
Yeah.
and just been on seizure drugs, that maybe this is causing that. And they, if they get the infusions or something, they can get off of all that medication.
Yeah. Yeah. And everything that his doctors were telling me, it's so important to realize that, because you have to treat them simultaneously when it's that way. You have to treat the autoimmune condition. You have to treat the seizures and, the encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. They have to go together with those seizures. And so they're really figuring it out. I feel like
Really are.
now that they know that, people may not have epilepsy, it may be better controlled. We'll put it like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we've learned is that part of his success is because he was treated early.
Yeah.
They said you would be surprised how many people will suffer symptoms for months or maybe a year or two, and then seek medical help. And so they're harder to treat. So
that's a beautiful picture. So nice. There he is with the baby again. Again, so fun to see a glimpse into the life. So talk to me about how faith came into this all. Let's start with you, Christy. You're in North Carolina. Your mom is, in this Atlanta airport. Your dad's calling you saying he thinks his life is over. Did you turn to prayer like we did back in our good old college days when things were going really tough?
Absolutely. I will say I had a hard time that couple months. I just remember every day going home from work and literally curling up in a ball on my couch every day. But then I started, and I started this a few years ago of just like repeating things over and over, kind of chanting. And, it's my way of just talking to God, and just, this is my one thing today, So, and then, talking to Mom, and then I think together we kind of came up with, you've got to laugh to keep from crying, and just, we started making fun of all the crazy things he was doing, because all the drugs he was on were making him a little cuckoo.
And how about you, Kay? How did you turn to prayer and your faith to get you through this?
Sure, absolutely. But I was not going to worry myself sick. I thought, he's in great hands. Do praying and just turn it over.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Okay, I'm going to end on a crazy fun note. So, Christy, I couldn't find one from our Baylor years, but you sent me this one. We did this one probably about 15 years ago. We were doing the close of a sorority picture as we could, because we always were like on each other's backs in college for whatever reason. There's our friend Shawnee in the middle.
Yeah, that is from almost 14 years ago, because that was my 40th birthday.
Oh, there you go.
Was it?
Oh, that's fun. Well, ladies, I tell you what, I'm so thankful that everything's going well. I mean, what a blessing that you're on the other side of it. And Kay, do you feel like life is pretty much normal now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. Totally like it was before, really. Yeah.
So, and Melissa, we just thank you so much for spreading the word about this disease. And like my mom said, to go to the doctor and get diagnosed early. And, thankfully we had such amazing doctors that
we
didn't stop until they found out what it was. So
they told us he has LGI1, which is his particular kind, and there are like 200 cases in the whole world.
My goodness.
So they were communicating with the doctor in the Netherlands, and let's see, I believe in
Spain,
Ireland also. It's amazing the outreach that they would do to try to make sure the protocol they put him on was correct.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness that you still have these ties. You still have your home in Wharton, and that
Yes,
you could come to the Texas Medical Center, one of the most greatest,
absolutely.
one of the greatest places on earth. And now
It
they
is.
have this specialized clinic where they can follow up with him from now on, if need be,
Exactly.
right? That's a perfect
Exactly.
situation.
Sure.
Well, ladies, I'm so proud of how far you've come, of how everything is going, how your faith got you through it all. God bless you each and every day. And now he'll do his infusions once a year and you'll be done with it. And he hopes to get off of them. I know he told me
does.
that. So
He
that's
does.
going to be our goal for him.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and
Right.
yeah,
Well,
that's his goal. And my goal is like, once a year isn't going to hurt you.
Yeah, yeah. You can do anything once a year, right? Well, lovely ladies, take care. Stay in touch. Keep me up to date with how he's doing.
Thanks
Oh,
for having us, Melissa.
All right.
thank
Mwah.
you. Great
Big
to
love and
see
hugs.
you.
All right.
Bye.
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 And then just a reminder for you all, I hope you'll join me every Wednesday here for Lunch for the Soul. 12:30 is the place to be. And if you happen to have joined us late, I got you covered. All you have to do is come back to our YouTube page with Fox 26. You can catch all my Lunch for the Souls. It's so easy to do. Or if you joined us late, you can see the very beginning of this one. So just head on over to Fox 26's YouTube page and we will have you covered. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you back here 12:30 next Wednesday. Bye.